Have you ever sat with someone in a quiet moment and felt understood even before a single word was spoken? Or perhaps, have you sat with a friend and felt a sudden, inexplicable chill, a sense that something was wrong even though they were smiling and nodding? There is a silent language that flows beneath our conversations, a gentle current of gestures and shifts that reveals the truth of our connections. Most people live their entire lives deaf to this language. They listen only to the words, and so they miss the soul of the interaction. But what you are about to hear will change the way you see every human being you meet from this day forward. It will be like putting on a pair of glasses that allows you to see the emotional temperature of a room. It will reveal the secrets that people are desperately trying to hide and the affections they are too shy to speak. Before we begin this deep journey into the 50 signs of human truth, I invite you to click subscribe. Join us as we explore the psychology of the self and let us build a community of people who are willing to listen, not just with their ears, but with their eyes. Now imagine you are back in that quiet room. You are looking at the person across from you. To understand what they are truly thinking, you must stop looking at their face. The face is a mask. We are taught from childhood to control it. If you want the truth, you must look where almost no one thinks to look. You must look at the floor. 1. The orientation of the feet, the compass of interest. Psychologists and observers of human behavior have long noted a profound truth. The honesty of the body increases the further down you go. While the face can lie with a smile, the feet are wild. They remain tethered to our deepest, most primitive instincts of flight and desire. Consider the feet as compass needles. They do not point north, they point to where the heart wants to go. If you are speaking with someone and you let your gaze drift downward, you might notice their feet are planted firmly, pointing directly at you. This is a powerful biological compliment. It says, I am anchored here. My nervous system has chosen you. Even if their body is turned away, that pointing foot is a tether of attention. But if you see one foot turned outward, angling toward the door or the exit, it is a soft whisper from their subconscious. It signals that their mind has already left the room. It is not necessarily rejection, it may simply be a desire for change. But it is the truth, spoken by the body before the mouth ever opens. Yet knowing they are present is only the first step. Once you know they are staying, you must look for the sign that they are becoming like you. 2. The mirroring of rhythm, isopraxism. As the conversation unfolds, watch their movements. You take a sip of tea, a moment later, they reach for their glass. You lean back, they settle into their chair. You cross your legs, they do the same. This is not a game of copycat. This is a deep psychological phenomenon known as isopraxism or mirroring. When we feel safe with another soul, when we feel a resonance of spirit, our neurons begin to fire in harmony with theirs. We physically align ourselves with them to say, without words, I am with you, I am like you. It is a dance of empathy. If you see someone mirroring your rhythm, know that a bridge has been built. They are not just listening to you, they are feeling you. They are unconsciously trying to synchronize their reality with yours. It is comforting to witness this. It reminds us that we are not isolated islands, but even in this harmony, we must look for the spark of joy. Anyone can mirror you out of politeness, but there is one muscle in the face that cannot be polite. It can only be real. 3. The softening of the eyes, the Duchenne marker. You look up from their posture and meet their gaze. They are smiling at something you said. It looks like a smile. It has the shape of a smile, but does it have the asterisk light of a smile? To know the truth, you must ignore the mouth entirely. The mouth is the master of social deception. Instead, look to the corners of the eyes. In the 19th century, the researcher Guillaume Duchenne discovered that true, felt joy engages a specific muscle, the orbicularis oculi, that is nearly impossible to control voluntarily. When a person is genuinely delighted by your presence, this muscle contracts. It creates soft, crinkling lines at the edges of the eyes, often called crow's feet. When you see the skin around the eyes soften and lower, and those gentle lines appear, it is the body's seal of authenticity. It says, I am not just tolerating this moment, I am happy in it. If the mouth smiles but the eyes remain wide and smooth, be wary. The emotion stops at the surface, but when the eyes dance, the connection is real. So they are present, they are in sync, and they are happy. But do they trust you? Happiness is easy, trust is dangerous. To know if they feel safe enough to be vulnerable with you, you must look at what they do with their hands. 4. The openness of the hands, palmar displays. Throughout human history, the hands have been the instruments of weapons and war. Because of this, the primitive brain watches the hands of others closely. When a person feels guarded or uncertain, they will hide their hands. They will tuck them in pockets, or clench them into fists, or hide them under the table. But watch for the moment of surrender. Watch for the palmar display. This is when they gesture with open hands or rest their hands on the table with the soft, inner wrists and palms exposed. It is an ancient, evolutionary signal of peace. It says, "I hold no weapon, I have nothing to hide from you." When someone shows you their palms, they are offering you a gift of trust. They are inviting you into their space, lowering the drawbridge of their defenses. It is a physical manifestation of an open heart. But here is the thought that lingers. Open hands show they are not afraid. But true attraction, deep respect, and profound bonding go beyond just a lack of fear. There is a specific, incredibly vulnerable part of the human anatomy, a vital area that houses our breath and our voice, that we only expose when we are completely captivated by another person. And when they reveal this part of themselves to you, it changes everything. We ended our last thought hovering over a question of vulnerability. We spoke of open hands and the willingness to show that we hold no weapons. But there is a difference between showing you are unarmed and showing you are willing to be wounded. The human body is designed to survive. For thousands of years, our instincts have taught us to guard our weakest points against the world. So when someone voluntarily exposes their most vital, fragile area to you, it is not just a casual gesture. It is a biological confession that they feel completely safe in your shadow. 5. The exposure of the neck, the vulnerable target. Think back to the person sitting across from you. The conversation has shifted from the weather to something more personal, perhaps a memory from childhood or a dream for the future. As they listen, or perhaps as they laugh at a shared joke, notice what happens to their chin. Does it tuck down, protecting the throat, or does it lift, tilting upward and exposing the neck? The neck is the gateway to our breath and our blood. It houses the carotid artery and the jugular vein. In the wild, this is the target a predator seeks. Because of this ancient danger, our primitive brain has a strict rule: cover the neck when there is a threat, cover the neck when there is stress. You will often see people unconsciously touching their throat or adjusting a collar when they feel anxious or defensive. It is a form of self-soothing, a way of creating a shield. But when someone tilts their head back in laughter or lifts their chin while listening to you, they are overriding millions of years of survival instinct. They are leaving the suprasternal notch, that soft hollow at the base of the throat, completely unguarded. It is a profound, silent compliment. It says, "I know you will not hurt me." If you see this, breathe easy. The barriers are coming down, but the neck does more than just expose itself. It also acts as a hinge for our attention. There is a specific angle of the head that signals something even deeper than safety. It signals that they are drinking in your words as if they were water. 6. The head tilt, the empathetic ear. Watch them as you continue to speak. If they are looking at you straight on, with their head perfectly level, they are likely processing your words logically. They are hearing the facts. They are analyzing the data. But then something shifts. You share a feeling, a doubt, a moment of uncertainty, and quietly, almost imperceptibly, their head tilts to one side. This is often called the head cant, and it is one of the most endearing signals in the human repertoire. You might recognize it from the animal kingdom. A dog will tilt its head to hear a sound more clearly. In humans, it serves a similar emotional purpose. By tilting the head, they are literally exposing the carotid artery we just spoke of, but they are also reducing their height, making themselves smaller and less threatening. It is a non-verbal way of saying, "I am listening with my heart, not just my mind." A person who tilts their head while you speak is not judging you. They are trying to understand the emotional weight of what you are saying. They are engaged in empathy. It is a sign that they care about the person behind the words. So they are safe enough to expose their neck, and they are empathetic enough to tilt their head. But look at the space between you. Even with all this warmth, there might still be physical objects, a coffee cup, a menu, a phone, resting on the table. What they do with these seemingly insignificant items will tell you if they are ready to let you completely into their world. 7. The removal of barriers, object removal. We are all architects of our own safety. When we sit at a table with a stranger, we often unconsciously build a fortress. We place our water glass, our bag, or our phone directly between us and them. It is a subtle barricade, a way to keep the territory defined. This is my space, the objects say, and that is yours. But watch what happens as the connection deepens. Perhaps they reach out to take a sip of their drink. When they set the glass back down, do they place it back in the center, blocking the line between your chest and theirs, or do they set it to the side? When a person begins to feel a pull of attraction or deep friendship, they will start to dismantle the fortress. They might move the menu to the edge of the table. They might slide their phone into a pocket. Slowly, the space between you becomes clear. This is unblocking. It is the physical manifestation of a mental desire. They are clearing the path. They want nothing to stand in the way of the energy flowing between you. They are creating a direct channel for connection. Now the space is open. The obstacles are gone. And once the path is clear, a new force takes over. It is a force like gravity, a magnetic pull that begins to act on their entire upper body, drawing them inexorably closer to you. 8. The forward lean, ventral fronting. You have noticed the feet pointing, the eyes smiling, the barriers vanishing. Now observe the distance. In the beginning, they sat back in their chair, comfortable but contained. But as the conversation finds its rhythm, you notice a change in the geometry of the interaction. They are no longer resting against the back of the chair. They are leaning in. This is known as ventral fronting. We protect our front, our heart, our lungs, our vital organs from things we dislike. We lean away from what bores us or disturbs us, but we lean toward what nourishes us. By leaning forward, they are engaging in a process of exclusion. They are shrinking the world until it contains only the two of you. The background noise of the cafe fades, the other people blur. The lean creates a private intimacy, a bubble where only your shared words exist. It is a sign of high engagement and a desire for proximity. They want to be closer to the source of your voice. You can feel the warmth of this attention. It feels like the sun coming out from behind a cloud. But be careful. While the body leans and the eyes smile, there is a tiny rhythmic traitor that can reveal if they are actually calm or if their heart is racing with hidden nervousness. It is a movement so fast you might miss it if you blink, but if you catch it, it reveals the true tempo of their internal state. We are seated now in this intimate bubble you have created together. They are leaning in, the space between you is clear, and the air feels charged with a comfortable silence. But even in the stillness, the body is never truly quiet. There is a rhythm to our biology, a tempo that speeds up and slows down based on how stimulated we feel. While a person can lean forward on purpose or smile with intent, they cannot easily control the speed of their own nervous system. To see this hidden pulse, we must look at something we ignore thousands of times a day. We must look at the way they blink. 9. The acceleration of the blink, the flutter of arousal. Normally, a human being blinks about 15 to 20 times per minute. It is a slow, steady windshield wiper for the eyes, keeping them moist and clear. In a calm, unexciting conversation, this rate remains steady. It is the metronome of a resting mind. But watch what happens when you pay them a compliment. Watch what happens when you touch on a subject that excites them, or when they look at you with a sudden spark of attraction. The blink rate changes. It begins to flutter. Psychologists have found that emotional arousal, whether it is excitement, stress, or attraction, causes the blink rate to spike. It is as if the brain is processing so much new, stimulating information that the eyes need to refresh more frequently. If you are speaking to someone and their eyelids begin to flutter rapidly, even just for a few seconds, it is a signal that their internal state has shifted. Their heart rate has likely increased. Their adrenaline is flowing. They are no longer in a state of neutral observation. They are affected by you. It is a charming betrayal of their composure. They might be trying to appear cool and collected, but their eyes are dancing to a faster beat. But the eyes do not just open and close. They are framed by the eyebrows, the conductors of the facial orchestra. And there is one specific movement of the eyebrows that happens so quickly it is almost subliminal. It is a flash of recognition that occurs before a single word can be formed. 10. The eyebrow flash, the social hello. Let us rewind for a moment to the very second you met. Or perhaps, imagine the moment you returned to the table after stepping away. As your eyes met theirs, did you notice a quick, sudden movement, a rapid raising and lowering of the eyebrows, lasting only a fraction of a second? This is the eyebrow flash. It is a universal human signal. Anthropologists have observed it in cultures all around the world, from busy city streets to remote jungle tribes. It is an instinctual sign of recognition and welcome. When we see someone we know, or someone we like, or someone we want to know, our eyebrows shoot up to open our eyes wider. It is the body's way of letting in more light, of saying, I see you, and I am happy you are here. If you approach someone and their eyebrows remain flat and still, it suggests a neutral or guarded attitude. But if you get that flash, that quick upward flick, it is a green light. It is a biological yes. It means they are receptive. It sets the stage for everything that follows. But now that you are settled in conversation, the eyebrows do something else. They don't just flash hello, they help us navigate the complexity of our thoughts. And sometimes, when a person is deeply intrigued by you, their eyebrows will pull together in a very specific way, creating a look that is often mistaken for confusion, but is actually something far more complementary. 11. The knit of concentration, the focus frown. You are telling a story now, perhaps something complex or something deeply personal. You look at their face and see their eyebrows pulled slightly together, creating a small furrow in the center of their forehead. At first glance, you might worry. Are they angry, you think? Are they confused? Do they disagree with me? Pause, breathe, look closer. This is not the frown of anger. This is the frown of focus. When we are deeply engaged in cognitive processing, when we are trying to truly understand the nuance of what someone is saying, our eyebrows naturally knit together. We are literally narrowing our field of vision to block out distractions so we can focus entirely on the person in front of us. It is a sign of intellectual respect. They are not just letting your words wash over them, they are chewing on them, they are weighing them. They value what you are saying enough to expend mental energy on it. So do not be alarmed by the furrowed brow. It is a compliment to your depth. But while the face is busy focusing and flashing, there is another part of the body that is quietly reacting to your presence in a much more primal way. It involves the blood rushing to the surface of the skin, creating a signal of warmth that cannot be hidden, no matter how hard they try. 12. The blush of the cheeks, the vascular rush. The conversation turns playful. Maybe you tease them gently or offer a sincere, unexpected praise. Suddenly, you notice a pink tint rising on their cheeks, perhaps spreading down to their neck or up to their ears. Blushing is one of the most fascinating human responses because it is the only one that is uniquely human. No other animal blushes, and it is completely involuntary. You cannot blush on command, and much to the frustration of the shy, you cannot stop it on command. Blushing is caused by the sympathetic nervous system dilating the small blood vessels in the face. It is a reaction to social attention. It signals that they care about what you think of them. If someone blushes in your presence, it is a sign of heightened self-consciousness. They are acutely aware of you and acutely aware of being seen by you. It often accompanies feelings of attraction, embarrassment, or the thrill of being caught in a moment of vulnerability. It is an honest signal. It says, you affect me. But here is the cliffhanger. While blushing shows they are affected, there is a way to tell if they are trying to comfort themselves in that moment of high emotion. There is a specific gesture, often done with the hands near the face or neck, that serves as a self-hug for the nervous system. When you see this, you know you have touched a nerve, and they are trying to soothe the butterfly wings beating in their chest. We have seen the blood rush to their cheeks, a silent confession that your presence has stirred something within them. The air between you is no longer neutral. It is vibrant, alive with unspoken energy. But with this heightening of emotion comes a heightening of tension. Even positive excitement, the flutter of attraction, the thrill of a new connection, is a form of stress on the body. The nervous system is like a delicate instrument. When the volume gets too loud, it seeks to dial it back down. And so, right before your eyes, the person across from you will begin to comfort themselves. They will perform small, gentle rituals to steady their internal world. If you know how to spot these, you will see exactly when you have made their heart race. 13. The pacifying touch, the self-hug. Watch their hands now. A moment ago, they were open on the table. But after that moment of blushing, or perhaps after a pause in the conversation that felt charged with meaning, their hand drifts up. Maybe they lightly touch the hollow of their throat. Maybe they rub the back of their neck. Or perhaps they gently massage their own earlobe or run a finger along their collarbone. In psychology, these are known as pacifying behaviors or adapters. When we were infants, our parents soothed us by stroking our backs or patting our heads. As adults, when we feel a surge of emotion, whether it is anxiety, excitement, or vulnerability, we do this for ourselves. We touch our own skin to release oxytocin, the calming hormone. If you see someone rubbing their neck or touching their face while talking to you, do not assume they are bored. Assume the opposite. They are feeling a lot. They are trying to ground themselves because the energy of the interaction has become intense. It is a sign that you have pierced through their social armor and touched the sensitive human beneath. But sometimes the hand does not go to the neck. Sometimes it goes to the hair. And when this happens, it is often a signal of something more than just comfort. It is a signal of preening, a biological instinct to look our best for a potential mate. 14. The preening gesture, the grooming response. You are laughing together now. The tension has broken, replaced by a playful ease, and in this lighter moment, you notice a movement. If they have long hair, they might sweep it back from their face, exposing their neck. If they have short hair, they might smooth it down. They might adjust their tie, straighten their glasses, or brush an invisible speck of dust from their shirt. This is preening. In the animal kingdom, birds smooth their feathers and cats groom their fur to signal health and vitality to a partner. Humans are no different. When we are attracted to someone, or when we deeply respect them and want their approval, we unconsciously check our appearance. We want to present the best version of ourselves. This gesture says, I care about how you see me. It is a desire to be visually pleasing in your eyes. It is a submission to your judgment, a hope that you will find them worthy. So they are soothing themselves, and they are grooming themselves. They are preparing the canvas. But now, let us look at where their own gaze falls. We have spoken of eye contact, but there is a specific pattern of looking, a geometric shape their eyes trace on your face, that distinguishes a friend from a lover. 15. The triangular gaze, the lover's map. When we look at a friend or a colleague in a professional setting, our eyes tend to stay in the power zone, a triangle connecting the two eyes and the forehead. It is a gaze of intellect and dominance. But when the feelings soften, when the relationship shifts into the realm of intimacy, the triangle flips. Watch their eyes as you speak. Do they stay locked on yours, or do they drift down? The social gaze, or intimate gaze, drops lower. It moves from one eye, across to the other eye, and then down to your mouth, before returning to the eyes. It traces a triangle that includes your lips. This is a profound shift. By looking at your mouth, they are unconsciously signaling a fascination with the source of your words, and perhaps a desire for something more physical. The mouth is a sensual organ. When their gaze lingers there, it is a phantom kiss. It is the mind wondering, imagining. If you catch them looking at your lips, especially when you are not speaking, the signal is loud and clear. The connection has moved beyond the platonic. And speaking of lips, they are not just to be looked at. The person listening to you will also use their own lips to signal their internal state. There is a way the lips can part, ever so slightly, that acts as a welcome sign to your advances. 16. The parted lips, the breath of anticipation. The room seems quieter now, the conversation has lulled, but it is not an empty silence. It is a pregnant pause. You look at them, and you notice their mouth is no longer closed in a firm line. Their lips have parted, just a fraction of an inch. Perhaps you can see the tips of their teeth or the darkness of the space between. This is a biological readiness. We part our lips when we are about to speak, yes, but we also part them when we are surprised, when we are in awe, or when we are experiencing desire. Relaxed, parted lips suggest that the jaw has unclenched. The body has let go of its defensive tension. It is a state of openness. It is an oral posture that says, I am ready to receive. In the context of attraction, it is one of the most potent signals of mutual chemistry. It mimics the facial expression of passion. It invites you to close the distance. But just as the lips can open to invite you in, they can also disappear to shut you out. There is a movement where the lips vanish, rolling inward until they are almost invisible. It is a sign of high stress, of holding back words that need to be said. And if you see this, you must tread carefully, for the door that was just opening may be about to slam shut. We have spent our time in the warm glow of connection, the open palms, the parted lips, the leaning in. It is easy to get lost in these signals, to believe that the path is always smooth. But human beings are complex. We are rivers with hidden rocks beneath the surface. Even in the most promising interactions, there will be moments of doubt, moments where a shadow passes over the other person's mind, a thought they are afraid to voice, a hesitation they are trying to hide. To truly understand someone, you must be willing to see these shadows too. You must be able to spot when the connection falters so you can gently repair it. The first sign often appears right where we were just looking, at the mouth. 17. The compressed lips, the vanishing mouth. You are speaking about a topic that matters to you. Perhaps you are sharing a strong opinion or a plan for the future. You feel passionate, but as you look at them, you notice a change. Their lips, which were soft and parted a moment ago, have pressed together. They have rolled inward, becoming a thin, tight line. In extreme cases, the lips almost seem to disappear entirely. This is the lip compression. It is a primal biological response to stress or negativity. When we want to keep something in, a harsh word, a disagreement, a secret, we literally seal our mouth shut. It is the body's way of saying, I am holding back. If you see their lips disappear, pause, do not push harder. This is a stop sign. It signals that something you just said has created tension. They might not disagree with you as a person, but they are struggling with the content of the conversation. By noticing this, you can shift gears. You can ask, what do you think? Or does that make sense? Giving them permission to release the pressure. But sometimes the mouth doesn't just close. Sometimes the tongue emerges for a split second, not to speak, but to perform a strange, quick flick against the lips. It looks like they are tasting the air or perhaps showing distaste. 18. The tongue jut, the subconscious reject. This is a micro gesture that happens so fast, you might think you imagined it. It is called the tongue jut. It occurs when the tongue darts out between the teeth and quickly retreats. It is not the slow, deliberate lick of hunger or anticipation. It is a quick protrusion. Psychologists and behavioral experts have found this often happens when a person thinks they have gotten away with something, or more commonly in social settings, when they dislike what is happening but cannot say so. Imagine a child who refuses to eat their vegetables. They push the food out with their tongue. As adults, we suppress this, but the ghost of the movement remains. If you are negotiating a deal or asking for a favor and you see that quick tongue jut, be wary. It is a leak of negative emotion. It suggests a disconnect between what they are saying sure, that sounds fine, and what they are feeling, I really don't want to do this. It is a tiny rebellion. But let's look further down. Discomfort doesn't just live in the face. It travels down the spine and settles in the shoulders. And there is a specific, lopsided movement of the shoulders that reveals a profound lack of confidence in what is being said. 19. The one-sided shrug, the half-truth. We all know what a full shrug means. Shoulders go up, palms turn up. It means, I don't know, it is honest. But watch closely when someone is answering a difficult question. Perhaps you ask, are you sure you're okay? Or do you really like this place? They answer, yes, absolutely. But as they speak, only one shoulder rises slightly and falls. This is the asymmetrical shrug. In the language of the body, symmetry is truth. Asymmetry is conflict. When only one side of the body commits to the gesture, it means the conviction is not fully there. The body is contradicting the words. It is a whisper of doubt. Yes, their voice says. Maybe not, their shoulder confesses. It is not necessarily a lie. It might simply mean they are unsure or torn. But it is a clear signal that the full truth has not yet arrived at the table. And finally, for this section, let us look at the hands again. But this time, they are not open. They are busy. They are engaged in a repetitive, rhythmic scratching or rubbing that seems to have no physical cause. 20. The phantom itch, the stress scratch. Have you ever noticed that when people are put on the spot, they suddenly develop an itch? They scratch their nose, they rub their arm, they pick at a non-existent thread on their jeans. This is not because they have a rash. It is because the capillaries under their skin are expanding due to a rush of autonomic nervous system activity, stress, anxiety, or the effort of concealment. Touching the nose is particularly common. This is sometimes called the Pinocchio effect. While the nose doesn't grow, the tissues inside it do swell with blood when we lie or feel high stress, causing a tingling sensation. So if you ask a direct question and they suddenly need to scratch the side of their nose or rub the back of their hand vigorously, take note. Their body is reacting to pressure. They are literally uncomfortable in their own skin in that moment. But discomfort is not the end of the story. It is just a chapter. Because even when things are tense, even when there are shadows, the body has a miraculous way of signaling that it wants to stay, that it wants to fix things. There is a way the legs can cross, a specific direction of the knee that tells you that despite the hesitation, they are still anchored to you. And if you see this, you know there is still hope. We have navigated the treacherous waters of hidden doubts, the compressed lips, the one-sided shrug, the nervous scratch. These signs warn us when the connection is fraying. But how do we know if the person is ready to leave or if they are simply working through a difficult thought while wanting to stay? The answer often lies in the architecture of their limbs. The arms and legs form the walls and bridges of our personal space. How we arrange them tells a story of protection versus reception. Let us look first at the legs. When we sit, we often cross them for comfort, but the direction of the cross is never accidental. It is a subtle arrow pointing toward our allegiance. 21. The leg cross direction, the knee barrier versus the open gate. Imagine you are sitting side by side on a sofa or perhaps at a small round table. They cross their legs. Look at the top leg, specifically look at the knee. If they cross their legs so that the upper knee creates a barrier between you, pointing across their body and effectively blocking their torso from yours, it is a defensive posture. It puts a literal limb between your heart and theirs. It says, I am keeping my distance. I am protecting my space. But if they cross their legs the other way, opening their hips toward you so that the inside of their thigh is exposed and their knee points away from you or toward you if sitting opposite, the meaning flips. This is the open gate. Despite any hesitation in their words, this posture leaves their vulnerable lower belly exposed to you. It is a sign of immense comfort. It suggests that while their mind might be wrestling with a thought, their body still wants to be near you. They are not walling you off. They are remaining accessible. If you see the knee acting as a shield, soften your approach. But if the gate is open, trust that the foundation of the connection is still solid. However, sometimes the legs tell a different story entirely. Sometimes they become rigid. They lock into place, gripping the legs of the chair as if the floor itself is shaking. This is a sign of a deeper, more primal anxiety. 22. The ankle lock, the mental break. Glance down quickly. Are their ankles relaxed, perhaps crossed loosely, or have they tucked their feet back under the chair and locked their ankles together tightly? This is the ankle lock. In the interrogation room or the boardroom, this gesture is a classic sign of holding back. It is the body's way of hitting the brakes. When we lock our ankles, we are physically restraining ourselves. We are biting our lip with our feet. It suggests they are feeling fearful, defensive, or that they are suppressing a strong emotion. It is a grounding technique. By anchoring themselves to the chair, they are trying to gain control over their internal state. If you see this, know that they are not fully at ease. They are holding something in, an emotion, a confession, a fear. They are bracing for impact. But let us move up to the arms. The arms are our primary defenders. We use them to block blows, both physical and emotional. Yet, there is a common myth that crossed arms always mean, I am closed off. This is not true. We must look at the hands to know the real meaning. 23. The arm cross with clenched fists, the fortress. You see them cross their arms across their chest, the classic barrier, but look at their hands. Are the hands tucked away? Are the fists clenched tight, perhaps gripping the biceps of the opposite arm? If the fingers are digging in, or the fists are white-knuckled, then yes, this is the fortress. This is a hostile or highly defensive barrier. They are literally hugging themselves tight to prevent falling apart or lashing out. They are protecting their vital organs from a perceived threat, which might be your words. This is a hard block. It signals resistance. But what if the arms are crossed, but the hands are relaxed? What if the thumbs are sticking up? 24. The arm cross with thumbs up, the confident observer. Now imagine the same crossed arms, but the posture is looser. The hands are visible, and most importantly, both thumbs are pointing upward. This changes everything. The thumbs are indicators of ego and confidence. When they point up, it signals that the person feels good. They feel in control. So crossed arms with thumbs up is not a defensive posture. It is a posture of self-assurance. It says, I am comfortable here, I am observing you, but I am not threatened by you. It is a power pose disguised as a resting position. It suggests they are evaluating you, perhaps even judging you, but from a place of security, not fear. They are the king or queen of their own castle in this moment. But there is a specific way the thumbs can disappear that signals the exact opposite of confidence. It happens when the hands go into the pockets. We usually think of hands in pockets as casual, but if the thumbs stay out, it means one thing. If the thumbs go in and the fingers stay out, it tells a completely different, much sadder story about how they view themselves in relation to you. We have spoken of the thumbs pointing up, standing like little sentries of self-assurance. It is strange to think that such a small part of the body can carry so much weight, but in the language of nonverbal communication, the thumb is the voice of the ego. The thumb is distinct from the other fingers. It represents strength of character and strength of will. When we feel powerful, our thumbs expand, taking up space. When we feel weak or insecure, they vanish. Let us look at how this plays out in the pockets, a place where hands often retreat when they don't know what else to do. 25. The thumbs out pocket display the alpha stance. Picture someone standing at a party or leaning against a wall while talking to you. Their hands slide into their front pockets. But notice the detail. The fingers are inside, hidden, but the thumbs are hooked over the edge of the pocket, pointing forward or inward toward the belt buckle. This is a high-confidence display. It is often called the cowboy stance or the Prince Charles. By leaving the thumbs visible, they are signaling that they have nothing to hide regarding their status. It is a subtle display of virility and dominance. It draws attention to the pelvic area, the center of gravity and power. If someone stands like this while talking to you, they are feeling good about themselves. They likely feel equal to you, or perhaps even slightly superior in the social hierarchy of the moment. They are relaxed, assertive, and claiming their territory. But now, reverse the image. 26. The thumbs in pocket display the hidden ego. Imagine the same person, the same pockets, but this time, the thumbs slide deep inside the pocket, while the fingers hang out over the edge. This is a rare and awkward gesture, and for good reason. It is biomechanically unnatural. Try it yourself. It feels strange to stand that way. This is the thumbs-in display. It is a profound signal of low status or temporary insecurity. By hiding the thumbs, the symbols of strength, the person is subconsciously signaling, I am not a threat. I am unsure of myself. You will often see this when someone feels out of place or when they are intimidated by the person they are talking to. If you are speaking to someone and they adopt this pose, they might be feeling overwhelmed by your presence. They are shrinking their ego to fit in the room with yours. It is a silent plea for reassurance. But the thumbs don't just hang around pockets. They also play a role when we clasp our hands together, and the way we interlace our fingers can reveal whether a person is feeling frustrated or receptive. 27. The steepling hands, the intellectual apex. Before we get to frustration, let's look at the ultimate sign of intellectual confidence. You are in a deep discussion. The person opposite you brings their hands together in front of their chest or chin, but they don't clasp them. Instead, they press the fingertips of one hand against the fingertips of the other, forming a church steeple shape. The palms are separated. This is steepling. It is the hallmark of a person who is extremely confident in what they are saying or hearing. You see it in chess masters, judges, and people who feel they have the upper hand. If they steeple while listening to you, it means they are evaluating your words and they feel they understand you perfectly. If they steeple while speaking, they are certain of their point. It is a bridge of authority. But watch out, if that steeple collapses, if the fingers slide down and interlace tightly, trapping the hands together, the mood has shifted darker. 28. The clenched hands, the suppressed animus. The steeple is open and airy. The clenched hand is tight and closed. Imagine their hands are clasped together on the table, fingers intertwined, knuckles turning white. Or perhaps the clasped hands are raised to face level, acting as a barrier. This is not just resting, this is restraint. Research suggests that there is a correlation between the height of the clenched hands and the level of frustration. If the hands are clenched low on the lap, they are managing mild tension. If they are clenched on the table, the frustration is growing. And if they are clenched in front of the face, they are likely holding back a very strong negative reaction. They are literally holding their own hands to keep from gesturing aggressively or leaving the situation. It is a sign of containment. They are trying to keep it together. So we have the thumbs of confidence, the steeple of authority, and the clenched hands of frustration. But there is one more signal that involves the hands and the face, a gesture that looks like boredom but is actually a critical evaluation of you. It involves the chin and the thumb, and if you see it, you must be very careful with your next words because the jury is currently out. There is a moment in every interaction where the other person stops simply listening and starts deciding. They are no longer just absorbing your words, they are weighing them. They are asking themselves, do I believe this? Do I trust this person? Is this what I want? This is the moment of evaluation. It is a delicate time. If you push too hard, you might force a no. If you pull back too far, you might lose the momentum. To navigate this, you must be able to spot the physical signs of critical thought. You must recognize when the judge has entered the room. 29. The chin stroke, the philosopher's pause. You have just made a proposal, or perhaps asked a significant question. The person across from you leans back slightly. Their hand comes up to their face. The thumb rests under the chin, and the index finger strokes the cheek or the jawline. This is the classic Chin stroke. It is a gesture as old as humanity itself. We associate it with wise men and philosophers, and for good reason. It signals that the person is in the process of making a decision. They are literally stroking the idea, turning it over in their mind. While they are doing this, they are in a state of high cognitive processing. Do not interrupt them. Do not fill the silence. If you speak now, you break their train of thought and risk annoying them. Let the silence hang. Watch the hand. If the stroking stops and the hand drops, the decision has been made. If they lean forward, it is likely a yes. If they lean back and cross their arms, it is likely a no. But as long as the hand is on the chin, the verdict is still pending. However, not all hand-to-face gestures are about thinking. Some are about hiding. And if the hand covers the mouth instead of stroking the chin, the meaning changes from evaluation to deception. 30. The mouth cover, the brain's barrier. Watch closely. You ask a question, did you like the movie, or are you seeing anyone else? Before they answer, their hand shoots up and covers their mouth. Maybe it's a full hand, or maybe just a few fingers pressing against the lips. This is the mouth guard. It is a subconscious instruction from the brain to suppress deceitful words. It is the adult version of the child who slaps their hands over their mouth after saying something they shouldn't. As we age, we refine the gesture. We might fake a cough or rub our upper lip, but the impulse is the same. They are trying to stop the words from coming out. If they do this while they are speaking, they might be lying or withholding the full truth. If they do this while you are speaking, it suggests they think you are hiding something, or they strongly disagree with what you are saying but are holding back their rebuttal. It is a barrier. It blocks the flow of truth. But sometimes the skepticism isn't hidden behind a hand. Sometimes it is worn openly on the eyes. There is a way of looking, a narrowing of the lids, that cuts through the noise like a laser. 31. The squint, the visual shield. You are explaining something, perhaps making an excuse for being late or describing a complex idea. You look at them, and their eyes have narrowed into slits. This is the squint. We squint for two reasons: to see more clearly, by reducing the amount of light and sharpening focus, or to protect our eyes from something unpleasant, like bright sun or flying debris. In social interaction, a squint signals doubt. They are metaphorically trying to sharpen the focus on what you are saying because something doesn't look right, or they are protecting themselves from a visual or auditory input they find distasteful. It is a sign of resistance. They are not buying what you are selling. If you see the squint, stop. Do not keep talking. Check in with them. Does that make sense? What are your thoughts on this? You need to address the skepticism before it hardens into rejection. But rejection isn't always sharp. Sometimes it is incredibly bored. There is a gesture involving the head and the hand that tells you, with painful clarity, that you have lost their interest entirely. 32. The head support, the boredom prop. There is a difference between resting your chin on your hand out of interest and propping your head up because your neck muscles have given up. If the hand is lightly touching the cheek, as we discussed with the chin stroke, they are interested. But if the palm is flat against the cheek, pushing the skin up, and the head is heavily resting its full weight on the hand, the battery has died. This is the head prop. It says, I am so bored that if I move my hand, my head will hit the table. If you see this, you are in the danger zone. The connection is fading fast. You need to change the subject, change the energy, or perhaps end the interaction before it becomes painful. But wait before you panic. Look at the other hand. Is it drumming on the table? Because if the fingers are tapping a rhythm, it's not just boredom, it's impatience. It's the sound of a ticking clock waiting for you to stop talking. We have sat through the evaluation, the chin stroking, the squinting, the heavy head of boredom. These are quiet signs. They are static. But the human body is designed for movement, and when the mind decides it has had enough, the body begins to rehearse the act of leaving long before the person actually stands up. It starts with a rhythm, a beat, a ticking clock manifesting in the limbs. Impatience is a form of contained energy. It is the fight or flight response revving the engine, but with the parking brakes still on. The result is leakage, small, repetitive movements that betray the desire to be anywhere but here. 33. The finger tap, the metronome of impatience. You are still talking. Perhaps you are finishing a story that has gone on a little too long. You feel the momentum of your own voice, but then you hear a sound. Tap, tap, tap. You look down at the table. Their hand is resting there, but the fingers are not still. They are drumming. This is the finger tap. It is one of the most recognizable signs of impatience in the human repertoire, yet we often ignore it because we are too focused on our own words. But we must listen to it. It is a metronome counting down the seconds of their remaining tolerance. Think of it as a physical manifestation of their internal monologue. Move it along, move it along, move it along. The tapping is an attempt to create a rhythm where one is lacking. They are trying to speed up the interaction by introducing a faster tempo. It is a subconscious prompt for you to accelerate your pace. If you hear the tap, do not try to talk over it. Do not try to be more interesting. Simply stop. Wrap up your thought. The drumming is a signal that the audience has left the building, even if the body remains in the chair. But sometimes the rhythm isn't in the hands. Sometimes it is in the feet. And this signal is even harder to spot because it happens under the table, in the shadows. 34. The bouncing foot, the escape engine. Glance down again. The upper body might be calm, the face might be polite, but one leg is crossed over the other and the suspended foot is bouncing up and down, or perhaps the heel is jittering against the floor. This is the bouncing foot. Now we must be careful here. Some people bounce their feet because they have excess energy or because they are hearing music in their head. But in the context of a conversation, a bouncing foot is often the body preparing to run. It is a revving of the engine. The muscles of the legs are firing, priming themselves for locomotion. They want to walk, they want to move, but social norms are holding them in the chair. The result is a vibration. If the bouncing is fast and erratic, it signals high anxiety or a desperate need to escape the situation. If it is slow and rhythmic, it might just be boredom. But either way, it tells you that their energy is not settled. They are not grounded with you. They are vibrating at a frequency of elsewhere. But there is a more definitive sign of wanting to leave. It involves the hands again, but this time they are not tapping. They are reaching. They are reaching for the knees in a gesture that looks like stretching, but is actually the first step of standing up. 35. The knee clasp, the sprinter's start. Watch closely as the conversation lulls. They lean forward. They place a hand on each knee, palms down. They shift their weight forward. This is the knee clasp, also known as the seated readiness pose. It is a purely mechanical preparation. To stand up from a seated position, we need to shift our center of gravity over our feet and use our arms to push off. By placing hands on knees and leaning forward, the body is assuming the on your marks position of a sprinter. They might not stand up immediately, they might hold this pose for a minute, but the intention is clear: I am ready to go. It is a polite way of concluding the interaction without saying a word. It signals the transition from staying to going. If you see the knee clasp, take the hint. Say, "Well, I should let you go," or "It was great seeing you." You will see them instantly relax and likely stand up within seconds. You have read their mind and granted them the release they were physically preparing for. But sometimes people don't just prepare to leave. They actively block you out while still sitting there. There is a way the body can turn, creating a cold shoulder that is literal, not just metaphorical. 36. The torso shift, the cold shoulder. We mentioned earlier how we lean toward what we like, ventral fronting. The opposite is also true. We turn our ventral side, our belly and chest, away from what we dislike or want to avoid. You might be sitting next to someone, and without moving their chair, they rotate their upper body away from you. They might turn to look at a screen or to watch someone else in the room. Their shoulder comes forward, creating a wall between you. This is the torso shift. It is a rejection of intimacy. By turning the chest away, they are protecting their vital organs from you. They are closing the window of connection. Even if they turn their head back to look at you while speaking, if their torso remains turned away, the connection is severed. The neck is just being polite. The body is being honest. They have effectively left the conversation, leaving only a shell behind. But what if they are not leaving? What if they are staying, but they are hiding something deep, something they are afraid to say? There is a gesture involving the gripping of the arm, not crossing, but gripping, that signals a need for self-restraint so powerful it looks like they are holding themselves back from a fight or a breakdown. We have watched the body prepare to flee, the tapping fingers, the bouncing foot, the hands bracing on the knees. These are the signals of a person who wants to be elsewhere. But what about the person who must stay, but is fighting a battle inside? What about the person who is wrestling with a truth they cannot speak or an emotion they dare not show? The body has a language for this struggle too. It is the language of restraint. When we feel an impulse that social norms forbid us to act upon, the impulse to scream, to cry, to strike out, we physically hold ourselves back. We become our own jailers, and the way we do this is both tragic and fascinating to observe. 37. The arm gripping, the self-restraint hug. We spoke earlier of crossing the arms as a barrier or a sign of confidence, but there is a variation of this that is far more intense. Imagine someone standing before you. Their arms are crossed, but they are not relaxed. Their hands are gripping their own upper arms, digging into the biceps. Their knuckles are white. It looks less like a comfortable resting position and more like a straitjacket. This is arm gripping. It is a literal holding of oneself. It suggests that the person is experiencing a strong negative emotion, fear, anger, or acute anxiety, and they are physically containing it. They are hugging themselves to keep from falling apart or exploding. If you see someone doing this while you are arguing or while they are receiving bad news, understand that they are at their limit. They are using their own strength to keep their composure. It is a sign of high distress. It is a silent scream for stability. If you push them now, they might break. This is a moment for gentleness, for lowering your voice, for giving them space to breathe. But the struggle isn't always so obvious. Sometimes it happens in the dark, in the tiny black centers of the eyes. We have talked about the eyelids fluttering and the eyebrows flashing, but we have not yet spoken of the pupil, the only part of the body that never, ever lies. 38. The pupil dilation, the black hole of desire. You are in a dimly lit room, perhaps a restaurant or a bar. You look into their eyes. The iris, the colored part, seems to have vanished. Their eyes look like deep, dark pools. This is pupil dilation. Biologically, pupils dilate for two main reasons: to let in more light when it is dark, and to let in more information when we are stimulated. When we see something we desire, whether it is a delicious meal, a pile of money, or a person we love, our autonomic nervous system kicks into high gear. The pupils expand to take in as much of the visual stimulus as possible. We want to see all of it. If you are in a brightly lit room and their pupils are still large and dilated while looking at you, it is one of the most powerful signals of attraction in existence. It means their brain is saying, "I want this. I want more of this." It creates a doe-eyed look that is universally perceived as softer and more attractive. However, the reverse is also true. If you show them something they detest, a gruesome image, or something that disgusts them, their pupils will constrict. They will shrink to pinpricks, as if trying to block the image out. So look at the black holes. Are they expanding to drink you in, or shrinking to shut you out? But let's move from the eyes to the mouth again. We have seen lips compress and part, but there is a specific, quick movement of the corner of the mouth, a tiny twitch, that reveals a fleeting feeling of superiority or contempt. And if you see this, you are in trouble. 39. The micro-sneer, the flicker of contempt. You are telling a joke, or perhaps sharing an achievement. You feel proud. But then, for a fraction of a second, you see it. One side of their mouth, just one side, curls upward. It pulls back toward the ear, crinkling the nose slightly. It is gone as quickly as it came. This is a micro-sneer. It is the universal facial expression for contempt. Contempt is a dangerous emotion. It is different from anger. Anger says, "I don't like what you did." Contempt says, "I am better than you." It is a mixture of anger and disgust, and it is the single greatest predictor of relationship failure. If you see a full, lasting sneer, the message is obvious, but the micro-sneer is insidious. It reveals a hidden thought of judgment. They might be nodding and smiling a moment later, but that tiny twitch told you the truth. They do not respect you in this moment. Do not ignore the micro-sneer. It is a crack in the foundation. But not all mouth movements are bad. Sometimes the mouth does something strange. It mimics chewing, not because they are eating, but because they are thinking. And this chewing motion reveals a specific type of mental processing. 40. The lip pucker, the decision chew. You propose a plan. "Let's go to Italy this summer," or "I think we should buy this house." They don't answer immediately. Instead, their lips push forward, puckering slightly, and then move side to side or chew on the inside of the cheek. This is the lip pucker or evaluation chew. It suggests they are weighing options. The puckering of the lips is often associated with disagreement or uncertainty. It is the face we make when we taste something sour. But when combined with the chewing motion, it means they are cognitively chewing over the idea. They are testing the flavor of your proposal. If the pucker relaxes into a smile, they like the taste. If it tightens into a hard line, as we discussed in Section 5, they find it bitter. Watch the lips. They are the gateway to the answer before the voice ever speaks. But there is one final signal for this section. It involves the entire body, and it happens when someone feels attacked. They don't just cross their arms, they effectively disappear. They engage in a maneuver that makes them look like a turtle retreating into its shell. We have seen how the body signals confidence, the thumbs hooking into pockets, the steepling of fingers. We have seen how it signals engagement, the leaning forward, the dilated pupils. But what happens when the spirit shrinks? What happens when a person feels so exposed, so threatened, or so unsure of themselves that they wish to become invisible? The human body, for all its complexity, has a very simple response to overwhelming threat or embarrassment. It tries to occupy less space. It tries to protect the vulnerable neck. It tries, in essence, to become a turtle. 41. The turtle effect, the shrug of insecurity. Imagine you have just asked a difficult question. Perhaps you have caught someone in a lie, or perhaps you have simply walked into a room where they did not expect you. Watch their shoulders. Do they rise up toward their ears? Does their head sink down? This is the turtle effect. It is a primal, reflexive movement. By raising the shoulders and lowering the head, the person is physically trying to hide their neck, the most vulnerable target on the body. They are pulling their head into the shell of their torso. This gesture is the exact opposite of the peacocking or confidence displays we discussed earlier. It is a gesture of submission and self-protection. It says, "Please don't hurt me. I am small. I am not a threat." If you see someone turtle when you approach them, it is a clear sign that they are intimidated by you, or they are harboring a deep sense of shame or guilt. They are physically recoiling from the encounter. It is a heartbreaking gesture to witness. It reveals a sudden loss of status and security. But sometimes the retreat is not physical. Sometimes the person stays perfectly still, their shoulders down, their head up. But they disappear in a different way. They disappear behind a wall of artificial objects. 42. The barrier builder, the fortress of solitude. You are sitting at a coffee shop. The person across from you seems fine. But then, as the conversation turns to something personal, watch their hands. Without looking, they reach for the sugar bowl and move it to the center of the table. Then the napkin holder, then their coffee cup. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, they are building a wall. This is barrier building. We discussed earlier how people remove objects when they feel connected, object removal. This is the reverse. When we feel anxious, threatened, or disconnected, we instinctively try to place physical obstacles between ourselves and the source of the stress. It is a subconscious attempt to fortify our position. The coffee cup becomes a shield. The menu becomes a rampart. If you notice a collection of items accumulating in the space between you, pause, look at the wall they have built. It is a physical manifestation of their emotional state. They are feeling unsafe or invaded. To fix this, do not reach out and move the objects. That is an invasion. Instead, lean back, give them space, change the topic to something lighter. Watch as they eventually, on their own, push the coffee cup aside. That is when you know the siege is over. But not all barriers are made of china and glass. Some are made of the body itself. And there is a specific way the hands can cross the body, not to hold the arms, but to adjust an accessory that signals a need for reassurance in a socially acceptable way. 43. The cufflink adjust, the executive pacifier. Watch a man in a suit or anyone wearing a watch or bracelets. When they feel insecure or nervous, especially in a business or formal setting, they will often reach across their body with one hand. They might twist a cufflink, they might check the strap of their watch, they might straighten a bracelet. This is the cufflink adjust. It serves a dual purpose. First, it allows the arm to cross the body, creating a partial barrier similar to a crossed-arm hug, but much more subtle. It protects the vital organs without looking defensive. Second, it is a pacifying behavior. The act of touching the object or the wrist itself provides a moment of tactile comfort. You will often see this when someone walks into a room full of strangers or when they are waiting to give a speech. It is a signal that says, I am feeling exposed and I need to ground myself. It is the adult, professional equivalent of a child holding onto a security blanket. It looks purposeful. I am just fixing my cuff, but the emotion driving it is anxiety. But what if they aren't touching their cuffs? What if they are touching their legs? There is a movement where the hands slide down the thighs, as if wiping them clean, that reveals a desire to wipe away the current situation entirely. 44. The thigh stroke, the palms of anxiety. You are in a negotiation or perhaps a tense family discussion. You look under the table and see their hands. They are resting on their thighs. But they are not still. The palms are sliding down the legs, from the hips toward the knees, and then back up, over and over, or perhaps just once, a long, slow wipe. This is the thigh stroke. It looks like they are drying sweaty palms on their pants, and biologically they might be. Anxiety causes sweating, but psychologically it is something more. It is a cleansing gesture. It signals a desire to wipe away the stress or the tension of the moment. It is a self-soothing motion, similar to petting a dog, but directed at oneself. It indicates that the person is feeling a high level of discomfort and is trying to calm their nervous system down. It's okay, the hands are saying to the legs. If you see this, understand that the person is sweating, figuratively and perhaps literally. They are under pressure. But now let us shift our gaze back to the face, because while the body hides and builds walls, the face sometimes does something very strange when it is trying to hide a lie. It doesn't hide, it freezes. We often think of liars as fidgety. We imagine them shifting in their seats, tapping their feet, unable to look us in the eye. And while anxiety can certainly cause movement, true, calculated deception or deep, freezing fear often looks completely different. It looks like silence, it looks like stillness. When a predator approaches, prey animals do not always run. Sometimes they freeze. They hope that by remaining perfectly still, they will not be seen. Humans do the same thing when they feel trapped by a question or a situation. They go rigid. 45. The frozen stance, the fight, flight, or freeze. You ask a question, where were you last night? Or did you take the money? Watch their body. If they are relaxed and truthful, they will likely move naturally. They might gesture, tilt their head, or shift their weight. But if they go suddenly, unnaturally still, if their hands stop moving, their head locks in place, and their posture becomes rigid, this is the frozen stance. It is a conscious effort to control the body. The brain is screaming, "Don't give anything away," so it clamps down on all movement. The result is a robotic, statue-like appearance. This lack of movement is actually highly suspicious. Normal human communication is fluid. We nod, we shrug, we use our hands to emphasize points. When all that dynamic energy vanishes, it usually means the cognitive load, the mental effort of holding a lie is so high that the brain has no energy left for natural gestures. They are holding their breath, waiting for the danger to pass. But while the body freezes, the face tries to compensate, and often it overcompensates. There is a way of nodding, a specific speed and repetition that tells you they are not actually listening, but simply trying to speed you up so they can escape. 46. The rapid nod, the accelerator. We nod to show we are listening. It is a polite, "I hear you." A normal listening nod is slow and rhythmic. Nod, pause, nod. But watch the speed. If you are talking and the person across from you begins to nod quickly, 3, 4, 5 times in rapid succession, like a woodpecker, the meaning changes. This is the rapid nod. It does not mean, "I agree with you deeply." It means, "I understand, please stop talking, I want to speak now." Or, in a more anxious context, "I need this interaction to end." It is an accelerator. They are trying to fast forward through your words. You will often see this when someone is impatient or when a subordinate is trying to appease a boss so they can leave the room. It is a sign of submission, yes, but an impatient submission. They are rushing the ritual of agreement. If you see the triple nod, wrap it up. They are done listening. But what if they aren't nodding? What if they are listening, but their hand is doing something very specific to their face? Something that looks like they are trying to keep a mask from slipping off. 47. The eye rub, the see no evil. You share a piece of information, "The project failed," or "I know what you did." Their hand comes up and rubs their eye, perhaps with a finger or the heel of the palm. They might look down while doing it. This is the eye rub. It is the adult equivalent of the child covering their eyes so they don't have to see the monster. When we hear something we don't want to hear or see something we don't want to see, the brain attempts to block the visual input. By rubbing the eye, they are momentarily breaking eye contact and cutting off the visual connection with you. It gives their brain a microsecond of relief from the stressful reality in front of them. It signals disbelief, fatigue, or a desire to unsee the current situation. "I cannot believe what I am looking at," the gesture says. And connected to this desire to block things out is a gesture involving the glasses. If they wear glasses, watch what they do with them, because the removal of glasses is never just about cleaning the lenses. 48. The glasses peering, the judge's verdict. You are making your case. They are listening. Then, slowly, they reach up and take their glasses off. They might chew on the arm of the frame, a pacifying behavior, as we've learned, or they might begin to clean them meticulously. But the key moment is when they look at you without the glasses. This is a power move. By removing their glasses, they are removing a barrier, but they are also signaling a pause in the proceedings. "I am stepping out of the conversation to think," the gesture says. But if they drop the glasses slightly down their nose and look at you over the rim, beware. This is the peering gesture. It is the classic look of the skeptical librarian or the judging magistrate. Looking over the glasses allows them to see you clearly while also lowering their head, a sign of aggression or scrutiny. It makes you feel small. It makes you feel like a naughty schoolchild. It is a gesture of authority and critical evaluation. They are scrutinizing you, and the verdict might not be favorable. So we have seen them freeze, we have seen them rush you, we have seen them block their eyes, and we have seen them judge you over their frames. But there is one final, devastating signal for this section. It is a sign that they feel completely superior to you. It involves the chin and a movement so slight it could be missed. We have spent much of our journey looking at signs of vulnerability, comfort, and anxiety, the ways people connect or protect themselves. But there is another side to human nature. There is the side that seeks to dominate, the side that feels better than, stronger than, or smarter than the person across the table. These signals are often subtle, wrapped in the guise of confidence. But if you look closely, you will see the cold edge of arrogance. You will see the physical manifestation of an ego looking down on you. 49. The head toss, the hair flick of dismissal. You ask a question, perhaps challenging their authority or their viewpoint. Why did you make that decision? Before they answer, their head jerks backward. It is a quick, upward motion, often accompanied by a slight toss of the hair, if they have it, or simply a lifting of the chin. This is the head toss. It is a gesture of dismissal. By tilting the head back, they are literally looking down their nose at you. It increases their perceived height and exposes their chin, a sign of aggression and fearlessness. But unlike the slow, vulnerable exposure of the neck we discussed in Section 2, this movement is fast and sharp. It is not an offering of trust. It is a challenge. It says, "How dare you ask me that?" or "That is beneath me." It pushes you away. It creates a vertical hierarchy where they are up here and you are down there. If you see the head toss, understand that you have struck a nerve of pride. They are asserting their dominance to cover a moment of irritation. But sometimes the dominance isn't aggressive. Sometimes it is relaxed, too relaxed. There is a way of sitting that claims ownership of the entire room, and if you are not careful, it can make you feel like a guest in your own space. 50. The leg over chair, the territorial claim. Imagine a casual meeting. You are sitting on chairs. The person opposite you doesn't just cross their legs. They take one leg and hook it over the arm of the chair. Or perhaps they turn the chair around and straddle it, resting their arms on the backrest. This is territorial claiming. By spreading their limbs and occupying parts of the furniture that are not meant for limbs, like the armrest or the back, they are expanding their physical footprint. They are marking their territory. This is highly informal, often to the point of disrespect. It signals, "I own this space. I am so comfortable here that the rules of etiquette do not apply to me." If a stranger does this in your office, it is a power play. They are trying to lower your status by raising their own comfort level to an aggressive degree. It is a visual shout of "I am the alpha here." And connected to this need to be big is a hand gesture that is often mistaken for piousness or deep thought, but is actually a steeple of pure ego. We touched on the steeple in Section 7, but there is a variation, the pointing steeple, that is weaponized. 51. The pointing steeple, the gunman. The standard steeple is fingertips to fingertips, but sometimes the index fingers extend outward, pointing directly at you, while the other fingers remain clasped. This is the pointing steeple. It looks like a handgun, and psychologically it acts like one. It is an aggressive variation of the confidence gesture. It directs the energy of their certainty straight at your chest. It is often used by lecturers, politicians, or bosses who are laying down the law. It says, "I am telling you how it is." It is not an invitation for debate. It is a closing of the argument. If you see the finger gun steeple pointing at you, you are being targeted by their will. They are not listening, they are dictating. But arrogance isn't always loud. Sometimes it is silent and smug. There is a specific type of smile, one that doesn't show teeth, doesn't reach the eyes, and creates a small dimple in one cheek that signals they know something you don't. 52. The smug smile, the duper's delight. You are speaking, perhaps apologizing or explaining a mistake. You look at them, hoping for empathy. Instead, you see their lips pressed together, but the corners are turned up slightly. The lips are tight, not relaxed, and often the smile is asymmetrical, higher on one side. This is the smug smile. In the world of deception detection, this is sometimes called duper's delight. It appears when a person feels they have successfully deceived you, or when they feel a secret sense of superiority over your situation. It is the look of someone holding a winning hand of cards while watching you bet your house. It is a leakage of joy, but a malicious joy. They are enjoying their power over you. It is one of the most infuriating signals to spot because it is so subtle, yet so dismissive. And finally, for this section, let us look at the ultimate sign of disengagement and superiority. It is when they don't even look at you. It is when they engage in a behavior that says you are less important than a speck of dust. 53. The imaginary lint picking, the dismissal ritual. You are talking, it is an important point. They look down at their jacket or their pants. They pinch a tiny, invisible thread. They examine it. They flick it away. They are picking imaginary lint. This is the lint picker. It is a displacement gesture, yes, but it is also a powerful signal of dismissal. By focusing their attention on a microscopic, non-existent flaw in their clothing, they are silently screaming that this lint is more interesting than your words. It is a deliberate withdrawal of eye contact and attention. It says, I am ignoring you, and I want you to see me ignoring you. If you see the lint picking, stop talking, force them to look up. Ask, is there something on your jacket? Call out the distraction gently, because as long as they are picking lint, your words are falling on deaf ears. We have seen the walls people build. We have seen the masks they wear. But what happens when the walls crumble and the masks are set aside? What does it look like when two human beings truly, deeply sync? There is a level of body language that goes beyond simple signals. It becomes a dance. It is no longer, I do this and you do that. It is a shared state of being. It is the visual poetry of deep rapport. When you see these signs, cherish them. They are the rarest and most beautiful indicators that you have not just met someone, but that you have reached them. 54. The echo, verbal and tonal mirroring. We spoke earlier of mirroring gestures, crossing legs when they cross legs, but deep connection moves from the limbs to the voice. Listen to the pitch, listen to the speed, listen to the words. When two people are deeply connected, they begin to sound like each other. If you speak softly, they lower their volume to match. If you speak quickly with excitement, their tempo accelerates to catch your rhythm. But it goes deeper. They start to use your words. If you say, that was a wild experience, and 5 minutes later they say, I bet that was wild, they are echoing your language. This is lexical entrainment. It is a profound sign of cognitive empathy. They are not just hearing your story, they are adopting your vocabulary to describe their own reality. They are building a shared language, a private dialect that belongs only to the two of you. It is a verbal hug. It says, I see the world the way you see it. 55. The synchronized breath, the respiratory lock. This is the most subtle, yet the most intimate signal of all. It requires keen observation or perhaps just a feeling. Watch their chest, watch the rise and fall of their shoulders. In moments of intense rapport, whether between lovers, deep friends, or a therapist and client, breathing patterns often synchronize. You breathe in, they breathe in. You exhale, they exhale. This is respiratory lock. Breathing is controlled by the most primitive part of the brain. To sync your breath with another person is to sync your life force. It creates a powerful physiological feedback loop. Your heart rates begin to align. Your nervous systems regulate each other. If you ever feel a sudden, unexplainable sense of calm while sitting with someone, check your breathing. You will likely find that you are breathing as one. It is a silent, invisible union. It is the body saying, we are the same. 56. The dual-handed reach, the cup of offering. We have talked about open palms, but watch what happens when they hand you something, a coffee, a document, a pen. Do they extend it with one hand, or do they use two? In many cultures, using two hands is a sign of respect, but in body language, it is also a sign of full engagement. When someone reaches out with both hands, perhaps cupping your hand in theirs as they shake it, or holding the object with one hand and supporting their own elbow with the other, they are investing more effort than is necessary. They are giving, you their full attention. It creates a circle of energy. One hand gives, the other supports. It is a gesture of warmth and total offering. It says, I am not doing this casually, I am doing this with my whole self. 57. The forward lean with touch, the anchor. We know that leaning forward signals interest, and we know that touching signals comfort, but when they combine, magic happens. Imagine you are laughing. They lean in close, entering your personal space, and at the peak of the laughter, they reach out and touch your arm or your knee. And then, this is the key, they don't pull back immediately. They leave their hand there for a moment, an anchor. This touch grounds the connection. It creates a physical bridge during a high-emotion moment. It stops time. By leaning in and anchoring, they are maximizing proximity. They are saying, I want to be as close to you as possible in this moment of joy. It is a fearless gesture. It risks rejection but asks for intimacy. If you accept it, if you don't pull away, the bond is sealed. 58. The lingering gaze, the goodbye that isn't. Finally, for this section, let us look at the end of the interaction. You have said your goodbyes. You have turned to leave. Turn back just once. Are they already looking at their phone? Are they walking away? Or are they still watching you? The lingering gaze is the body's reluctance to break the connection. Even though the social ritual of goodbye is finished, the visual tether remains. They are watching you walk away not to check you out, but because they are not ready to let you go. It is a sign of separation distress. Their brain is clinging to the image of you for as long as possible. If you catch them watching you leave, know this, you have made an impact. You are leaving a trace of yourself in their mind. We have traveled a long way together. We have journeyed from the tips of the toes to the flutter of the eyelids. We have decoded the silent screams of the clenched fist and the quiet whispers of the open palm. We have seen how the body betrays our darkest fears and reveals our deepest loves. You now hold a map. You have the keys to unlock the hidden narratives unfolding around you every day. But a map is only as good as the traveler who holds it, and knowledge without wisdom can be a heavy burden. The holistic truth, context is king. As you go forward into the world, watching for the turtle effect or the Duchenne smile, remember the most important rule of all, context is king. A person might cross their arms not because they are defensive, but because the room is cold. A person might touch their nose not because they are lying, but because they have allergies. A person might look away not because they are deceptive, but because they are shy. Never judge a person by a single gesture. A single word is not a story. A single note is not a symphony. You must look for clusters. When you see the arms cross and the chin drop and the body turn away, then you have a sentence, then you have a truth. With this ability to see comes a responsibility. When you realize someone is anxious, do not use it to dominate them. Use it to comfort them. If you see the self-hug, soften your voice. If you see the barrier building, give them space. When you notice someone is attracted to you, treat that vulnerability with care. The goal of understanding body language is not to outsmart people. It is not to become a human lie detector or a master manipulator. The goal is empathy. It is to hear what isn't being said. It is to understand the pain behind the smile, the fear behind the arrogance, and the love behind the silence. It is to bridge the gap between two souls who are trying, clumsily and beautifully, to connect. Imagine a world where we all listened to these quiet signals, a world where we noticed the foot pointing towards the door and let the person leave with grace, a world where we saw the micro-expression of sadness and asked, "Are you truly okay?" It would be a kinder world, a softer world. You have the power to create that world, one interaction at a time. So the next time you sit across from a friend, a lover, or a stranger, breathe, settle into your own body, and then simply watch. Look at their feet, are they anchored with you? Look at their hands, are they open? Look at their eyes, is the light shining through? The truth is always there, waiting for you to see it. Thank you for walking this path of understanding. May your eyes be open, your heart be wise, and your connections be deep. If this journey has opened your eyes to the silent language of the world, please subscribe to continue learning with us. There is so much more to explore in the landscape of the human mind. Until next time, observe gently.